We've got to talk about the big B word, budget.
Yeah.
We make one every month at my house, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Right.
It's a stress point all the time for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And a lot of folks, they're failing at budgeting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why is that?
Well, I hate budgets. I just go on record.
The finance guy hates budgets.
Yes, the financial industry has basically convinced everybody that the answer to all your financial problems is a budget. And here's what I've found when it comes to budgets. They're always made at the wrong time, for the wrong reasons, with the wrong numbers. So I'll sit down with somebody and I'll start to ask them questions like, how much do you spend on groceries? And they'll say, I think we could maybe spend $300 a month on groceries. And I say, first of all, you're out of your mind. You're going to spend way more than that. You have 3 kids. Second, that's not the question I asked. What do you spend? They don't know, right? When they approach budgeting, typically they've already mentally hung the curtains on a decision they want to make. I want to buy this car. I want to buy this house. And if I do this budget in a way that I put these numbers in that I've completely made up, I can convince myself I can afford this thing I already decided I'm buying. Right? That's when people make budgets.
Wow.
When they want to buy a car, they want to buy a house, they want to do something big, then they say, if we only spend $20 a month on entertainment, if we never do anything fun, if we never have any food that we eat out, if we never order pizza, then I can buy this car. And all the numbers are wrong, and then they wonder why the budget doesn't work, right?
Yeah.
So what I always try to coach people on is you got to scrap the whole idea of the budget, because the goal of the budget is restriction and spending as little as possible. If you get to the end of the month and you spent no money on fun, you're high-fiving each other. I'm not convinced that's something we should high-five about.
Right.
So instead we need to flip it and we need to think of it as a spending plan. We're going to decide ahead of time that we are going to spend our money, but these are the things we're going to spend it on. And if we get to the end of the month and we planned on spending $100 on entertainment and we only spent $25, we're not high-fiving. We're not celebrating that. We didn't live the life we planned on living last month. That's not something we're going to celebrate. Instead, we want to, ahead of time, say this is freedom. We are going to. We've already mapped this out, and now we get to live that intentional life. The reason why people get bent up in this stuff is because they don't decide ahead of time what they're going to do. They decide in the moment. And that is always tricky, right? Because you're responding to those emotions. You're going to take action that have no real connection to what you want. It's just what you want right now. Where if we start ahead of time with this map, then we just live like we said we would.
Yeah.
And it goes so much better.
So a good budget is really just a map on what you're spending that month.
Correct. That's right. It's not about restriction. It's about deciding ahead of time and living the way you planned on purpose.
So what's insight that you can give somebody who wants to start doing that?
The first step is you've got to understand what your life costs now. If someone asks you what do you spend on groceries and you have to make a number up, you're not ready, right? So track your expenses, understand what today's life costs. You don't want to start with judgments and shame. I can't believe we spent that much on this. Don't start there. Just start with what did we spend. You can always change it. If you decide now that we know what we spent on entertainment that it was too much, you can go ahead and restrict that down in your spending plan. But if you start immediately judging yourself, you're not going to like this process, right?
Yeah.
So understand what you spend today, and then from there, change in the ways you want to change it.
Cool.